All right, so 10 years in the making. Was that satisfied with the ending? To an extent, yeah. I know we had a conversation before. I was like, all right, the ending, we all knew Eren had to die. I'm so satisfied with all of that. I'm so satisfied with the way that like Eren died, Armin and gang had to go back to paradise to try and like make things right with them. The only thing that got me was like, all right, you see Eren get buried at the tree, and you see Mikasa's there. They put a little gravestone up there. Then years, centuries, however much time passes, the tree gets bigger and it grows, and it's like, oh, that was a Mir's tree. So my only thing is like, you show that fucking kid, and you show him go into the tree, letting you know, like, oh, this could all happen again. Titans could come back. So to me, that says this story is not fully over. So you might as well put the end and then put a question mark on it to me.
That is how good stories usually do end. Like, I think like if you watch, even sometimes you'll watch like movies with Christopher Nolan, you've seen the ending of Inception, you see how it's kind of like, you can kind of assume or leave the ending open to interpretation. I think that's good that it does that. It's capturing suffering in a way, but it's also giving you that, like, at the point of it to me was kind of like the moral of the story is humanity can't ever be left in peace. Eren's objective is to kind of level it out and make it even. And even though people kind of felt like at the end, he stomped out so much of humanity, but it might happen again. 80%. Make me the villain, so you guys team up and like you guys look like the heroes and everything like that. But at least for like a couple hundred years, you guys will find peace, and you have a chance at kind of like preserving yourselves, and we can at least end the Titan power and everything. But regardless, it's left there. It's left there that it's sour, that this can very much happen again, that as long as there's people, even before the Titan power, corruption is always going to exist. And because of humankind's like compulsion to dominate, evil is never going to exist with or without the Titan power. I thought it was a perfect wrap up, and I like, you're also a manga reader. I think it just explained it a lot better in the anime than it did in the manga, because there was like more of a development in the, like, I guess in the show itself.
Certainly agree with Abdul. Like, I think that's like a technique on ending like any type of story. Is like, I don't know, the first story that comes to mind is like Halo 3. I just feel like even when Master Chief was lost in space at the end of Halo 3, you just start thinking like, yo, what if, like, what's gonna happen to him next? And like, you kind of accept it to be the end, but you know that it's like not fully the end. Similarly, like, a lot of different styles of shows, like, you don't need to put a perfect bow on it, but at the same time too, I still do appreciate how that gives like the viewer kind of like that feeling of like what's possibly gonna happen next. And heck, I could easily see them creating a universe out of this, just because they're making so much money, and that's like a whole other argument down the road. I hope not, because like the story's perfect, leave it alone as it is, but it does just really just give me at least like the sense of like, yo, what's possibly next. So I'm not mad at it.
And I don't think you could do a universe. I think you could maybe do like prequel spin-offs and stuff. Maybe not like if you were thinking of that way. Yeah, you don't have to, because I like tight, concise stories personally too. But I don't need you to kind of be cash grabbing. It looks like they maxed out, like, I don't think we mentioned it, but this show started in 2013 to now end in 2023, and the show is only like 60 episodes, 70, 80 episodes, something like that. It's not
you got part 4, final part 1, part 2.
That's a fact.
Yeah, so people think the show is exactly. That was a big sentiment online, right? But people think the show is longer than it was, but it's really just because it just took so long to, I guess, animate actually like everything that happened at the end. There was no filler, by the way, either. And even in retrospect, some of those moments that you kind of didn't like when you saw the characters that were trying to spend the entire series kill each other, come together like by a campfire, and then unite to take on your beloved main character. Like, your beloved main character, this is also not a theme we haven't seen before with, like, you've seen Light Yagami be the antagonist and the protagonist before, but he's carrying the story. I'm not going against him. When this season 4 started, our Eren was in the middle. I'm like, kill them all. I was low-key riding with Eren.
Yeah, like, they certainly gave Eren like a compelling story. Like, by all means, like, at least like the one thing I appreciate about like a villain like Eren, the villain they try to create out of him, is that they justified his means to say like, yo, he kind of had this upbringing that at least like you could get behind. You could see why he's not just like a psycho. He's not like a villain. He's not evil just to be evil. He's not like your regular Frieza. He's just like, he's genuinely like a dude who just has goals that align with like other people's goals, and that's what I feel like is what this show encompasses.
To save the world, or do you save the world and kill your family? That's, is that whole universe thing. But
I like what you
Aaron
did
said
there.
the
You-
best thing ever. Like he did. I'm an idiot who just happened to get power. And I thought that was like that's honestly what happened. Like this plan. This wasn't a good plan.
Not a great plan.
Fucking plan, bro. But he was like, this is the only way I see us, winning. So I'm gonna do it.
I like that. I like that trope was kind of defeated in itself, that he's not trying to be Mr. Noble, that I'm trying to necessarily save humanity. Because even when him and Armin have that conversation in the anime, they kind of like, I mean, in the anime they developed it more, but in the manga they didn't really talk about it. But him pretty much admitting that, yeah, I am just someone selfishly obsessed with power. Armin's like, you didn't have to kill everybody, but he's like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of enjoyed it. Like it kind of showed you that, yeah, he's actually a piece of shit. He defeated these tropes before in the show when you're watching such and such Titan transforming and let me stop you from doing that. But also towards the end when the show was wrapping up and you're thinking like, wow, he's doing something so noble. Armin's kind of like, hey man, you didn't have to kill babies, you didn't have to kill all these innocent people, but he has to tell you, like, this person that you followed from season 1 to now, he's telling you now, nah, I kind of enjoyed the killing.
So he's my guy. So to add on to the piece of shit vibes, I mean, what do you say more that he was the one that guided, you said the season 1, he guided that Titan to attack his mom. Like, if that's not the biggest piece of shit in the world,
exactly,
I don't know what is. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. That's exactly what I was about to say. I was like, from season 1, from episode 1, watching your mom die and you feel that pain that he felt, but to the very last episode to know that he orchestrated his mom dying, it is the most sinister thing in the world. Like, it's no way to excuse that, but it's so beautiful because you didn't expect it. Like, I don't know. I just think like Attack on Titan doesn't necessarily do a lot of things unique. It just executes it really well. I think like it does this thing where like you're kind of kept in the dark as what's gonna happen. It does a good like distraction method where you're like, okay, the plot right now to me is about this genocide that's happening. Like, oh, we need to stop Eren. So for people that didn't know it was going to happen, you're hoping that, like, is Eren that committed to it? But whole time he had this master plan. The plot at one point is thinking like, who is betraying us or whatever it might be. But then you find out other people have this ability. Like the whole reveal of Reiner and the Beast Titan was just kind of thrown on you, right? Like everything was shocking. And I think the biggest twist in itself was that the Attack Titan's power is to see the memories of the future. Like, it just makes no sense, right? But to see that he orchestrated it for him to talk to his dad, like, that tells you that, okay, this is the most complex character.
Possibly one of the hardest scenes too, by the way. Yeah, like when he's literally talking to his dad, like, do it. His dad's just like fucking losing his shit and all that. Like, yo, you know what you gotta do, right?
The Attack Titan can see the future and whatnot, whatever. That's a whole lot convenient to me. It's just like, that's a whole lot of plot armor, because it's called.
That's when they lost me with that.
It's called the Attack Titan. I was like, I'm thinking like, this guy got hands.
But now I can see the future.
But now I can see the future. I was like, if you were to do that, at least call it something else. Don't call it the Attack Titan.
Well, the Attack Titan.
Look at the nerd about to defend it.
I don't know, Tierno, if you have something else to add, but I was just gonna say, like, the Attack Titan's power, like when they were explaining it, when you look at all the other Titans, they at least have like a unique ability. Like the Jaws Titan power is just, he can bite the shit out of stuff. And then, like, you have you have the Colossal Titan, you have the Armor Titan that has like superior defense. If you just looked at Eren's Titan, it didn't really look like the weakest one compared to it until you learned that he has that ability to see memories of the future, and then you learned that power itself is what's leading them to gain the founding Titan power and everything else beyond that. So it's like, it's beyond the ability itself, it's kind of what orchestrates the entire story. Like, the only free will you have is the free will I allowed you to have at this point.
No, I'm not saying it's not good. I'm saying it's like, it's a whole lot convenient. I'm saying, like, you assume the Attack Titan is the exact same as a female Titan because they have pretty much the same powers.
Same build.
And they both just throw hands. Like, everyone else, like, has a Jaws Titan jaws, fucking Beast Titan looks like a fucking, like, ape or whatever beast. Attack Titan, I can see into the future. What?
and you can summon other Titans. Like, you can do certain things, right? Like, you can literally call upon other Titans.
Certainly to that point, like, one of my very few like little stripes I have about the show is that it does keep things so ambiguous with like this whole Titan power thing that they kind of have to keep you in the dark without like completely telegraphing what they're about to do next. Because like, imagine in season 1 them teaching you about like the Attack Titan's ability to see into the future. It kind of would have like really thrown you off as a viewer. So they kind of like feed you along the way, but I'm not gonna hold you. They do give like a lot of like crazy like, oh, the founding can do whatever it wants under the sun. Like, that is kind of crazy to me. But that being said, like, I like the fact that it at least makes sense in its universe. When it's at least making these rules as it goes, it is making sense as it goes. So you kind of just have to take it and roll with it.
Okay.
I mean, what was the one Titan that he stopped from transforming?
The Warhammer.
The Warhammer Titan. Now that power is beyond anything until you saw the founding Titan power, where it's like, I can talk to everybody, I can erase your memory. Low-key, I don't need to trample everybody. Why don't I just turn your brain off or something? Like, there's a lot of things you can do. Like,
lock your memories.
I don't know.
It's not good.
Yeah, no. I just think the simplicity of where it started from when you're watching season 1 and watching like the dynamics of seeing like how do the suits even work. You're watching Eren try to work with like broken ODM gear, and you're just thinking of this as just like a simple ass revenge plot until it turns into betrayal, until it turns into truth, and it turns into like I'm a slave to freedom. Like, I'm sorry, because I've seen these memories of the future, I'm pretty much a slave to this outcome no matter what. And this is what's gonna happen. I'm sorry, like, I am obsessed with it and I am enjoying it as I'm doing it, but I do love you guys, and that was kind of like
possibly the hardest scene is the sea scene. Like I said, like as somebody that just literally watched the show literally this year and went through everything, that was possibly one of the hardest scenes. And just, you know, everybody's all carefree, nonchalant, just having a good time. Like, oh shit, we see water. This nigga Aaron just like, dog, like there's enemies over there. Like, they want to kill us. Like, once we off them, can we finally be free? And that, like I said, as somebody that was very resistant to watching the show, to watch that scene, it kind of, I'm not gonna lie, that scene struck a chord. Like, even, you know, in pre-pro we were just talking about, like, I even had to download that the soundtrack for that, because that was emotional strength right there.
It's a good point. It's a good point you made. My bad, I'm gonna be quick, but like, that's the whole question of the show too. Like, what is it gonna take to save humanity at this point? Like, if I eradicate all the people that currently hate me, won't I just have more enemies when we come back to like this island? Like, regardless of what I do over there, like, that's the whole question. Like, Zeke's plan is like, do I euthanize everybody, you know, just to get this over with? And Eren is gonna like try to appease his plan. So that constant question of that there's no right answer is kind of the reason that the ending wasn't gonna wrap up in a bow either, right? Like, at least gave you that realistic framing. But I want to ask you guys though, like, what did y'all think? The finale itself, the first 30 minutes was action-packed nonstop, and the second half was the breakdown and everything that led up to the ending. So what did y'all like take from that? Like, what were y'all overall thoughts on the finale itself? Because we didn't really get into that.
Final finale, I thought it was fucking great. Everything, no complaints about anything in the finale. Everything was fucking fantastic. They're whipping the fuck out of them people in Mappa, bro. Like, the animation looks great. Shout out to the last increment scene, the last ODM gear scene. I've watched that shit on TikTok a lot. I was like, thank you for sending off Levi and like Mikasa off well, son.
And a bang.
Damn well they
No pun intended.
Out there, fucking fire, son. That scene's fire. It's on par with the Kenny scene, but it's not the Kenny scene. But shout out to that.
Tierno, you only watch the anime. The anime only fans, this hit way different. So I do want to know what you thought of the finale.
Yo, I don't even know where to begin, but just starting from like the last special, I honestly just sat there waiting for like the last like 9+ months, formulating all these different like potential ways they could have took the direction of the story.
Real quick, T,
and have my own.
My bad. Real quick, T, nothing in you made you want to just say, yo, hey, I know it's out there. Let me, like, you know, let me cheat myself in some type of way to check out and see what's going on.
Every day. I told myself, like, hey,
you got Aaron Yeager level commitment right there.
I went to the doctors and they told me, like, hey, tomorrow is your last day to live. I would have read the manga that night. I would have said, yeah, I'm gonna finish it, you know. But no, like, honestly, going in, I 100% knew that I wanted to watch it the same way I've been watching all the other previous seasons. And only thing I'm honestly mad about is that this special isn't in theaters.
I mean, you guys are right. But those first opening 30 minutes to watch that being animated in theaters, that's 100% worth any bit of
facts. Big facts.
Like, the whole Zeke switching, not necessarily switching sides, but just deciding to help thing. I felt like that came like too fast, and he was just too eager to help. Because I was comparing it to, I don't know if it's still a good analogy, but I was like, compared to like, you know, Batman vs Superman. Batman was like,
he has the power to wipe out the entire human race, and if we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty, and we have to destroy him.
That's the type of time Zeke was on, bro. He was like, yo, fuck all of y'all. I fucking hate all of y'all. Fuck everyone. And then he gives an Armin and like the paths, and they talk for all of like, you know, 10 minutes, and he's just like, bet. switching sides. Yo, I'm over here, you know, kill me right here. So my whole thing with that was like, that's a whole switch up really quick. I understand you gotta wrap it up. I understand you gotta wrap it up. I'm just saying, you gotta, like, I was like, so much hate just turned around.
It kind of did remind me a little bit of like a Naruto-esque like comparison with like Naruto and Nagato, like, dude, just like they have opposing views, but then like at the end you guys can just talk it out and then change like the antagonist.
Kumbaya,
like,
baby.
Oh, I guess throw me a baseball. Like, I guess
throw me a baseball.
We good.
That was his main thing he wanted to. Like, let me hold it down. And you would be forgetting how many stories there are to keep up with, and maybe like my brain also like kind of didn't give Zeke the amount of attention he needed. Like, I remember Zeke was just kind of feeling like he felt betrayed by Eren because Eren apparently understood what Ymir's plan was and stuff like that, but Eren didn't. Eren just knew that Mikasa understood what Ymir's like whole thing was or whatever as well. So like it was always like something else to distract you with something else that was going on. So even when Zeke did like kind of turn tides, my thought was maybe he doesn't want humanity ruled out of fear. Maybe that was his thing. Maybe this is why, like, at the end of the day, if Eren is going to really commit to this, then like let me give them the last bit of help they have. Like I didn't even know that was an ability. It's almost like finding out powers on the fly. Like, oh yeah, you know, even though I'm in Eren, I can also control the Titans on top of his back. Yeah, I know, that's crazy, right?
Well, I mean,
stop the whole time.
I don't think he could have stopped the rumbling, but I think I don't know what it was between that something like that's a power that wasn't explained. Like, I barely understand the founding Titans power.
I will certainly say, like, I'm glad you mentioned that, because the euthanization plan, that whole thing in general, it wasn't like meant to kill anybody. If anything, it was the most peaceful way. Like, of course, ethical dilemma still exists, but like it was the most peaceful way for them to at least like remove the whole Titan like bloodline completely from like the map without just essentially like shedding any blood or having any war. So to your point, like, I don't think they were essentially, or Zeke was essentially really down for like the whole rumbling idea.
The other thing I know that everyone has like a curiosity to was the whole like Mikasa thing, right? Like, so Mikasa and Eren's relationship has been kind of like explored in this. It's obviously been developed a lot more in the anime, but I think people have a lot of confusion, and even I somewhat do. So like Ymir and was it King Fritz, like, she's suffering from some type of like Stockholm syndrome where she's like obsessed with her captor. It's revealed that she was actually in love with her, and the reason Eren believes that Mikasa knows is because Mikasa's like in love with me, kind of reciprocates his feeling, and like that feeling would save Ymir, right? Now again, that's one of them things where like I'm a little loose on too, where I'm like, I don't fully grasp like why that's the tie-in or to save Ymir, but I don't know if anyone else had like
she's
a thought
never seen. It's like, you know, like that old saying, like, to have loved and to be loved. She loved but was never loved back. She was like treated like, you know, she
there you go, Playboy,
eaten by
there
her
you
kids,
go.
right?
Talk that shit.
And then, you know, Mikasa loved Eren. Eren was just like, yo, girls, cuties, whatever. No. So
I don't do them. I got like
got to see, like, you know, love at its like
true love
form. Yeah. So that's what it was.
I like that interpretation a lot, DeAndre, and I even like took it to like the level of, hey, if Mikasa is able to walk away from Eren, or at least like pretty much cut this slave tie to Eren, then that's what made me think like, all right, Ymir said in herself, all right, I should be able to cut this slave tie that I have with King Fritz. So like that's what got her to like.
And don't that just piss you guys off, knowing like, oh, maybe we can all come back? That don't piss y'all off?
No, because I like the parallel that both of y'all drew. Like, and especially if you look at it, like if Mikasa watched someone else slave around for someone else, and then like Ymir felt that in herself, and then watched someone have the strength to walk away, like that is actually the beauty in it. Then, like, that's why people thought Eren understood Ymir, but it wasn't even him. He's like, no, Mikasa did. Like, Mikasa will. And like the two moments that Eren and her have is like when they're waking up, you know, in the first episode, and he's asking her why she's crying, and in the final episode where, you know, it reverses and stuff, and then the only two moments you have is like the moments I pretty much erased from you, like you kissing me, and this is the last thing that Ymir is gonna see. And then not even to mention, just the last thing was that another trope you defeat where you try to be Mr. Cool Guy. I want her to forget me, but like, you know, Armin punches him in the face. Like, are you serious? Like, you serious? You really? And he's like, nah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't want her to move on. Like, think about me for 10 years after this. Like, don't lose that.
If that don't make Aaron a nigga, I don't know what will. You know what I mean? If that don't make him a real nigga, I don't know what will.
Like, there's just too many things that are so like shitty, but so likable because it's so relatable and it's so true. And that's why, like, when DeAndre keeps saying like the ending doesn't piss you off that it could happen again, I'm like, that's the point. It's supposed to. It will actually. Better yet, it's definitely gonna happen again.
From your guys' standpoint, like kind of watching the show for like far longer than I've watched it for like what was like roughly 3 years, like the way you guys thought it was gonna end. Like I know in my 9 months waiting from like the special up until now, I kind of pictured Aaron going out in like a Batman sort of fashion, like at the end of the Dark Knight, where everyone thinks he's like the villain, and like this kind of goes into like more lore of like things that I think that they set up on purpose just to kind of tease fans, but never used, such as like Historia's baby. Like I easily saw like a possible ending being where like Aaron dies, Historia has her baby just in time to inherit all of like Aaron's like Titans, like the attack and the Warhammer and whatnot. And then when it's that baby that grows up, it ultimately or that he or she baby ends up becoming the one to tell Aaron's story, to say like when they inherit the memories, they say like, oh, Aaron actually didn't intend to like cause all this harm. He was actually trying to unite all the nations. And I thought Aaron was gonna die like that, where all of his friends think that he's like this enemy. I thought he was gonna go out like Batman. I thought that would have been really dope. I see how it wouldn't make sense with like a lot of things that they tried to do, but I really still do appreciate how he like, you know, had a one last message with like, you know, all of his boys from like Mikasa, Armin, John, Connie, all that. I thought that was still cool. But
that fucking sidebar of just like, yo, Historia's pregnant by some random farmer, blah blah blah. And I was like, that story now just doesn't make any type of fucking sense. Like, why the fuck is that even a storyline? I completely forgot about that. Yeah, why the fuck did the story have a baby, and why the fuck did it matter?
It was a tease. Because like the whole ability, they never use that ability, but they mentioned like anyone of the 9 that ends up passing away without, I guess like without anyone inheriting it, the next born Eldian was supposed to pick it up. So for that, the fact that they made that rule and never used it really was like, I think dude was just trying to mess with me. He knew that I was like looking for that rule. You never follow through.
I mean, you're right. It distracted me enough too, because like I didn't. You probably thought of the ending like a step further than I did. Like when the reveal happened that he was the one that kind of controlled the whole thing, that like he's inventing the chess game as you guys are playing checkers. Like he's the one that's doing this. He's orchestrating. I thought his plan was to just get the founding Titan power. I didn't think beyond it, because I thought it was just, get the founding Titan power to fucking eradicate the rest of humanity. I didn't think that his plan was the step beyond of like, let me, like you said, trying to die as Batman, let me kind of like let me level out the playing field so that now when these two nations, quote unquote, go to war again, at least it'll be a couple 100 years apiece before they do. And you guys can still look like the heroes. So again, I was distracted by the fact that this was the reveal, instead of once it was revealed that I intended to die, I knew that Mikasa was going to kill me, that this was the extra plan on top of that. So I guess that surprise element maintained there for so long that it didn't bother me. And two, I was just kind of happy that it wasn't what I expected. I think there wasn't a moment of me predicting something to happen that actually panned out, because I was thinking either he gets killed or he eradicates them. Those are the only two options, and neither happened. So, one of them happened technically, but yeah.
I'm upset because the whole story thing was like a big thing, right? Like, yo, she gets pregnant like right after they like save paradise, whatever. She gets pregnant, but then those couple, we don't know who the nigga is, so the nigga is unimportant, but the baby.
Not at all.
No, like the funniest thing is, if anybody that's like watching like goes back to the episode right before like the recent special, it's like an Aaron like getting ready to do the rumbling type of episode, and he's having a conversation with Historia on her farm, saying like, hey yo, Historia, this is my plan, like I want you to know that like this is how it's gonna go down. And she's like, nah, Aaron, you can't do that, like all these people are gonna die not knowing what they did. And she at the last second says, hey, I have an idea, I'll have a child. And then it cuts away, and then it goes to the rumbling. So it's really just kind of like feeding into the idea that like Historia had a plan in mind that was never enacted on. So I don't know, I just recommend you guys go revisit that scene. But it's like really funny that they like really had all these like Easter eggs to kind of like foreshadow something, but just completely did nothing with it.
I'm not gonna defend this one.
That's what I was waiting for. I was like,
I've been honest as everything, but I'm like, hang on, there's some things that lost me too. So.
But I compare it to like Game of Thrones. Like I remember with like Arya, for example, like they were like foreshadowing that she was supposed to kill like what was it, like Daenerys and like all these other people beyond like just the White Walker, but they just never followed through on that. So like I took it on a similar stride where like just because they set it up doesn't mean they have to use it.
No, what was the point of setting it up? Nothing's supposed to be arbitrary. Like anything you show, like everything is for a reason. So why set it up? I do have questions about that. I need answers. I do.
I don't know, man. There was a million stories happening to follow through on everything. Like I don't know, there was 10 revenge plots happening at once.
Yeah, but you know, if One Piece ends without closing this one story, I'm gonna be mad. Close the entire thing. End it. That's a nitpick. I think it's a very valid, question to ask. Like, hey, what about?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what I like. I'm trying to think of things I didn't like or I didn't appreciate. Like, I'm really at a loss because I think like the way it was executed was just so like the actual story is done. If you're gonna nitpick at like sideline stories and be like, oh well, this wasn't fully developed or explained all the way, then okay. I mean, you might have a credence, but you have maybe one to complain
Answer
about.
Tierno's question.
But the wrap up of even Levi seeing his boys, seeing Sasha and all them again. Come on, man! Like there was so many like high, like emotional driven moments.
But yeah, let us know what you thought down in the comments below. Let's have a conversation. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Is this in your top 5? Is it top? Is it number 1? Let us know, and we'll catch you on the next one.